Mike Tyson is a force of nature, and when he wants something done, generally it gets done. With the upcoming unauthorized Hulu documentary set to drop later this month, Tyson wasn't happy and called Dana White, who leapt into action on behalf of his friend and former baddest man on the planet. Today, we are discussing White pulling out of the deal to promote Hulu's Mike limited series. Don't go anywhere. Let's get straight into it then. What has gone down? Well, when Mike Tyson is angry, people tend to know about it. Dana White, head of the UFC, has recently detailed a phone call he received from the former heavyweight champ, asking him to cut ties with Hulu for their unauthorized biography of Tyson's life. Tyson has since hailed White for springing into action in what was probably a pretty easy decision, considering who was on the other end of the phone and what he is capable of. Speaking after last week's Contender Series, White explained that he was on the verge of a deal with Hulu to promote this Mike Tyson unauthorized biography. However, he quickly went on to explain how he got wind of the fact that Tyson wasn't happy with it and explained how he called Iron Mike to hear his side of things. He explained to Tyson how he had a verbal agreement to do this deal with them, before going on to say how Tyson told him that Hulu were actually taking advantage of him, but absolutely not in those words. White went on to say how he told the former champ he would squash this deal, before saying, "So I killed the deal and I told him that it was over and that we won't be promoting that show for Hulu." And then he did what he did. It pays to have friends in high places sometimes, right? What do you make of White's words? So what did Tyson have to say then? Well, of course he was happy with the fact that someone had gone to bat for him, which White clearly did. Having killed the deal with Hulu, Tyson tweeted what had gone down. He described how the network had simply gone over his head, straight to White, and offered him millions, whilst simultaneously offering him nothing. Of course, Hulu clearly thought White and the pull he had with combat sports fans would be the perfect marketing tool, and would certainly have loved to have had the miniseries advertised at UFC events. However, White seemingly has more integrity than that, even if he has been called out in the past for perceived questionable business ethics. Iron Mike went on to describe Hulu as modern-day slave masters, before again giving Dana props. He continued, "White turned it down because he honors friendship and treating people with dignity. I'll never forget what he did for me. Of course, it's probably nice to have Mike Tyson owe you one. So Dana White has almost certainly made the correct decision here, as you do not want to make an enemy of someone like Tyson." The show is set to debut in the States next week, August 25th, but of course will no longer be endorsed by Tyson himself, nor the UFC, as Mike also tweeted, "Hulu stole my story. They're Goliath and I'm David. Heads will roll for this." What do you make of Mike's words? Next up, Dana has spoken out after a top featherweight has jumped ship. Shane Burgos announced on Ariel Helwani's The MMA Hour earlier this week that he would be leaving the UFC for the PFL. Discussing the deal, he revealed the offer was too good to turn down, saying, "It was a bigger difference this time. It was a six-figure difference back then, what I was going to get paid from the PFL, and I turned that down to stay with the UFC," before going on to say, "Now it's obviously bigger than that." Burgos then revealed that he should be a millionaire after the first season. Speaking about Burgos' decision earlier this week, White has conceded that the UFC made some big mistakes where the featherweight contender was concerned, saying, "Basically, there were some mistakes that were made here, some stuff that he should have still been here. I respect him very much, and I wish him the best." White again reiterated how the company had made mistakes, but Burgos himself refused to rule out a return to the top promotion one day. Hopefully, he can go away, make his money, and return a more well-rounded fighter to challenge whomever might be the king of the featherweight division upon his return. What do you guys think of Shane Burgos' decision to move across to the PFL, and how do you think White handled it? It's not often White admits he is wrong. Dana has also had his say on Paddy Pimblett's weight issues next. Stick around. The Baddie is known for his fluctuating weight in between fights, and having fought just 3 weeks ago, the popular Scouser is back up to around 200 pounds. However, White has recently claimed that Pimblett's out-of-camp eating habits actually hurt the UFC, as well as the lightweight contender. Pimblett has made a brilliant start to life in the UFC, and is currently 3-0 in the top promotion, 19-3 overall, and has never had problems hitting weight. But this hasn't stopped White weighing in, pardon the pun, on Pimblett and his weight issues, with the boss recently claiming that it's not good for you. Many people would point to Pimblett's perfect UFC weigh-in record as justification of his diet. I mean, if he's making weight, surely there's no problem. But White has claimed that he could be doing untold damage to his body. He said, "We all know that it's bad for you. We know that fluctuating and cutting that much weight is very bad, and it definitely doesn't prolong your career. It's tough on your body and your organs and stuff like that. But listen, he's a grown man. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do." The boss went on to claim that it's also bad for the promotion, explaining that when they're trying to put together fights, they can't throw him in on short notice, revealing that they have to be very specific when it comes to him. What do you guys think? Next up, Luke Rockhold has called out the promotion. It seems that not 1 week can go by without somebody mentioning fighter pay, and in the build-up to his middleweight fight this weekend, former champion Luke Rockhold is the latest to speak out. Luke was clearly rusty after a 3-year hiatus, and even forgot to speak into the mic at one point. However, he didn't miss a beat when the issue of fighter pay came up, suggesting that he doesn't need the UFC because he just loves fighting. Rockhold called out the powers that be due to the fact that the UFC is experiencing exponential growth, but they're still giving out bonuses of $5,000. He then went on to claim that things have been like this for 20 years, even referencing when GSP was fighting. Luke went on to insinuate that when the Fertittas ran the show, they had Dana on somewhat of a metaphorical leash. However, the new owners don't know what they're doing. He went on to say they're letting Dana just run the show and suppress the sport. They need to grow. He then suggested that the whole organization needs to grow together, which of course means the fighters as well. The ex-middleweight champion then said that they need to take care of healthcare for starters, before then saying that there's a lot of people and things that need to change. What do you make of Luke's words? Hard to disagree with, really, right? Rockhold has again gone in on the UFC. Stick around to hear all about it. You wouldn't guess that Rockhold was actually in the employ of the UFC listening to him. After going in on Dana regarding fighter pay, he has again called out the promotion and White for his association with the degenerate Nelk Boys. White recently irked many fighters by giving one of the YouTubers a $250,000 cash gift for their birthday, and the group are known to enjoy many perks that fans of the sport can only dream of. But all this doesn't sit well with Rockhold, and he's not the only one. Speaking to CBS Sports earlier this week, he questioned why the group were even a part of the company. He then suggested Dana was trying to buy into popular culture, before claiming that people need to wake up. He then called out a reporter who had previously given Chito Vera a Mexican luchador mask, and asked him to shout out lines from Nacho Libre, saying, "You can't approach Chito and give him a bleep Mexican mask and ask about his culture." His culture? He's bleeping Ecuadorian. Bleep. Do your homework. I mean, that is scandalous, really, and Rockhold is right to call him out. What did you guys make of our mate Luke's words? Let us know below. As usual, thanks for stopping by today, and remember to tune in again next time, when we will be discussing all sorts of other cool bits and pieces. And why not do us a big favor by liking and sharing today's video, whilst also subscribing to the channel. Bye guys!